Good morning, good morning, good morning, guys. Welcome to Island Tea right here on Win Media SKN. It is August 30th, guys, Tuesday, terrific Tuesday, and I'm your fave, Azem. Usually I'm joined by Jade, Gwenny Gwenadita, CPL Matthew Stewart Johnson, but she's out this morning, so it's all me by my lonesome. But at least I have great company in you guys listening. And hopefully this morning we actually have some people coming in and joining us as we go through the show. But it's a pleasure to be here with you guys. I was back yesterday, and we're going to keep the good times rolling. Hold on, let me get some nice accompaniment happening in the background. You guys know we like to have the soothing sounds of old school hip hop playing in the background while we speak. But guys, I hope you guys are doing well out there. I hope everyone had a good day yesterday, a good start to the week, good productive week. Speaking of having a productive and good start to the week, some of y'all doing too much. I gonna go out on a limb here and say that. Like how should I address this? I think we had this conversation after the last elections, and here we are again about to have similar conversation about persons being moved, replaced, fired, or people resigning after election. It's obvious to me that some people have a list, a very extensive list of persons who they believe should no longer hold the positions that they hold now. And I understand that. Like, I understand that we live in a time and in a society where there is obvious political appointments, some of which I would say are understandable given the climate, meaning they are very sensitive positions that persons in government would want to have someone there who they feel they can trust, someone who they feel wants the best for them and their term and not the opposite. So I understand that. I think there's also the concern of people being given positions simply based on association with the parties that are in power, not necessarily based on being the best person for the job or even being fully qualified for the position. And also persons who may have, due to poor performance, be expected to be replaced, moved, etc. But because of said political associations remain in certain positions. I think we understand that we live in a society where those things do occur, and there is a method for, let's say, course correction. You know, once elections happen and there's a change, then we expect changes. So that's not even my concern. Even though I think my concern comes from this feeling of a witch hunt almost for some people's jobs by. And not only that, the level of excitement that seems to be exuded when some of these things take place. Whether or not you believe that it's a justified move, I don't know. Something just does feel weird for me, man. I don't know. I might be out on a limb with this one. I might be kind of on an isolated island with this one, but I don't know. And even me, there's people who I may feel dealt with me harshly or unfairly, but I just not the type of person to celebrate, find fun in or happiness in someone else's misfortune. I don't know. I guess some people, you know, they feel the need to rejoice and jump. But you see, some of the times what happens is that type of energy does really, one, it scares people because it doesn't it doesn't feel so much like the righteous crusade that some make it out to be. In other words, there's a difference between a righteous crusade and a witch hunt. Or maybe it only depends on what side you on, which one which category it falls into. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's not much of a difference between either. But at the same time, I just be like, yo, like, why do you seem so excited about people's misfortune? Like, if it's a matter, even if it's a matter that you feel it's justified, was necessary, a long time coming, any of these things, let the work be done that needs to be done, and call it that. Like, it does make me very uncomfortable. It always has. This isn't a new thing. I think sometimes people are so clouded by, or let's say, the tint on their political shade so dark that they can't see anything else. So when we talk about things that, hey, we feel need to be addressed, not recognizing that, but this is something that needs to be addressed on a national level. We think it's like a political level. Are we attacking somebody? And they're saying I'm not attacking anybody. As a matter of fact, I'm not even talking about the powers that be doing what they see fit. I'm talking just about us as a people and how we respond to things. Right? How we respond to things. I don't know if it's always necessary for us to express our agreement, let's say callously, because I think what happens is that we don't always, and I say this all the time on the show, we don't always imply empathy, right? We don't always imply this thing that we have the capacity to do, which is put ourselves in the shoes of others and act accordingly, right? I mean, it's for me, it's as simple as that. Like, I believe, like I said, that there are always going to be these musical chairs, if you want to call it. Once there's a change of government and thing, you can always get these movements, these shifts, and a lot of it is understandable based on all the factors that I discussed or mentioned before, and others. But maybe we should see it as just that necessary and part of the process. Once done, once there's reason to make those moves. Yeah, I'm seeing the phone lines lighting up. I'm hoping that we got this sorted out yesterday. So let's see. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Good morning.
Morning.
If you did get it sorted out, that is.
Great.
You can hear me?
Yeah, man, you're clear. Loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay, right. Now, with regards what you're on right now, the obvious question is, okay, fine, you don't like it. I don't think many people do, in fact, like what happens after the change of administration.
Bear in mind, just so clarify, just to make sure I have not been unclear. I'm talking about the reactions of the people, not necessarily the actions of the government, but the response of the people to such actions. I'm not discussing I'm not discussing the obvious need to move and shift and that kind of thing. I'm talking about the response of the people.
Okay. So you agree that there is a need to do it?
But I thought I was very clear on that point.
Okay. And so it becomes then, I think what the problem might be is how it is done, the methods used, and certainly with regards to the jubilation part of it, the way some people look at these movements, is, I agree, it in some cases, obscene. I mean, it's disruptive to people's lives, and no one really should rejoice in somebody else misfortune, if you want to call it that.
That was the exact term I used, actually. Yeah.
Okay, right. But the thing is, you have to remember you're dealing with human nature. Another word that was used, for instance, was these people terrorized us. Now, you can well understand, therefore, the reaction by some who have been, to use their words, terrorized. Okay? That's just human nature to react in that way. Well, they had it coming, kind of thing. Okay? And so it is just really an expression of human nature.
Well, I mean, you could say that, but I don't. I mean, you could say that, but I don't know if generally the loudest voices were the ones most affected. So I don't know if I totally agree with the fact that what we are seeing is the relief of terrorized persons, because the reactions a lot of times come from the same person. So it's like the same set of people. So the same set of people are terrorized by everybody.
The same set of people.
What I'm saying, usually, from my experience and my observation, it seems to be the loudest voices in terms of the apparent jubilation, right, are the same set of people. So if it's a matter that these people are rejoicing after some let's say, being saved from terror. But I mean, these people were being terrorized by all these people, these one set of people all the time?
No. There are two things here. One is that generally speaking, it is the ones who are politically most aggressive who are usually the victims. And so when it's, shall we say, in inverted commas, their turn, when it comes around, that finds an expression. Okay? So it may seem like the same set of people, but then there are those who genuinely feel outraged at the unfairness that was perpetrated. If, for instance, the resources of the country were shared in a fair way where you had criteria other than being a member of a political party or a supporter, an avid or rabid supporter of a particular politician, if it were seen to be fair, I don't think people would be so incensed. It's when it appears that the political patronage system has gotten out of hand that people really object to it. And that is when a lot of our baser instincts come to play. You see?
I believe though that and again, a lot of what I'm saying is directly aimed at the electorate, not necessarily the elected. I believe that sometimes the elected, even if they do have the best intentions, a lot of times the persons who, let's say, were in strong support of the election put pressure on them to behave in certain ways. And so when we start talking about the fact that if the political patronage system, the people would, a lot of times, is the people who expect, who have come to expect certain things for their support. And so, and I think a lot of times when we see these changes, the persons who, for instance, if you're saying like a lot of the most boisterous supporters are the ones who are most, who suffer the most. right? A lot of times we're talking about basic instincts. A lot of times those are the same people who come around and say, "Well, it's my turn now. It's my turn to benefit now."
Exactly.
That is more of what I see. That is more of what I see as opposed to, "Hey, this is not how it should be." And these people who are supporting, I believe they are the ones to bring us to a new place. I don't know if I...
But it is not as clear cut as that, because remember, the fact is we have been exposed to this kind of tribalism, and what do you do in a case where there are people who are in office now who, and I'm not talking about just politicians, who perpetrate this? Should we say, well, okay, cut it out, we leave them there? Why do you think their behavior would change if they're left there? Okay,
but that's not what I don't think. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. What I'm suggesting is, one, understanding that if someone is not performing in the position that they're in, then of course there should be steps taken to ensure that the position is filled by someone who is capable. All right. And what I was speaking about initially was, hey, when these things happen, these movements, sometimes we as people have to exercise some empathy. One, understanding that is not necessarily good for them and the people who depend on them, but also recognizing that this was just necessary. And it's more about, and sometimes and this is what I see, is it's more about rejoicing in the misfortune of this person as opposed to the relief of those people, let's say, terrorize, that to use the word that you use. All right? It's not necessarily, hey, look at the relief that these people are getting. It's generally like, a good, baby, go from here.
Yeah, what a scene. Okay, I understand that. And you know, I think most of us could understand that that kind of in-your-face reaction is not good.
It's counterproductive, I think. I think it's counterproductive.
But the thing is, how do we get past that? How exactly do we get to an
I would say by demanding that we do. If we recognize that the position was not filled by someone who's capable, then understand that what needs to be put in place is systems that determine best candidates, something that is transparent, that you you then implement. But what happens is, I think a lot of the times, and that's why I made the point that I made a bit earlier, where I said that unfortunately I don't believe that is what is being clamored for. I think what is being clamored for a lot of times is it's our time now. It's my time now. It's our time now. You know what I mean?
No. I don't agree. The good governance agenda would help to temper some of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying I don't blame. That's why I'm saying I don't necessarily blame the elected. Sometimes I blame those who support the loudest, not necessarily. And that's why I said, even in the face of best intentions by the elected, sometimes the supporters are the ones who make the agendas that they want to see put forward most difficult.
That's where leadership comes into play, right? Because if you're determined to have a new paradigm, to change the way things are done, remember, you're the one who is elected, and you're the one with the power. You are going to have to decide that, well, this is the better way, I promise, and therefore deliver that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because there's a reason why only certain people bubble to the top as leaders, you know, right? If they're like an ordinary person, just like most of us, okay, they might give vent to those same basic instincts that we talk about. They may not be visionary enough to see that, well, okay, this is short-term satisfaction, I'm looking at it long term, what is best for the country. Okay? And some leaders do that. Some leaders are able to look beyond the now and what their supporters are saying and do the right thing. And then, of course, there are others who pander to their supporters and end up, inevitably, they end up getting into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
At some point or the other, they get into trouble.
Definitely.
Yeah. But, it's a good conversation to have. And I am hopeful that once we implement the good governance agenda, that would be there would be systems in place to put checks on these kinds of things. Because if things, they're saying, things that go on bad morning can come good evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
right.
true.
So if we do things correctly out of the door, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, for sure.
We wouldn't have to have this discussion about the after effects. Okay, or at least it would be more reduced, put it that way.
Indeed,
Okay?
indeed.
Yeah. All right, then.
All right, appreciate it. I think that, and thanks, Scholar. I think that when we start talking about leadership, one of the things that I have been thinking about for some time has been, yes, the type of leaders that come and, hey, do we... Because I sometimes talk to persons who come from different backgrounds, right? Backgrounds, let's say from more dictatorial countries with different governments, people from different religious backgrounds. And one of the things that I find interesting is that I see a lot of similarities between some of those systems and our now political systems. If you want to question the party's position, well, you're wrong. There's no room for that here. If you question the leader's decision, you're on the other side and we got to get rid of you. It's almost cut like in some cases, and the problem is in those systems, leadership sometimes comes down more to charisma than character, and I think we have to guard against that. In our politics, especially party politics. I think we have to guard against that, because if we're not careful, we're gonna see some real interesting characters emerging. But that's a whole other discussion. And at this particular time, we have some other things to discuss. Today's Tuesday, guys, so you know what that means. We are joined by the lovely Nama, who's here for Talking Trash. So we're going to take us a short break, and we're going to be right back with more Island Tea right here on Win Media SKN. Guys, stick and stay. Don't go nowhere.
If you say you love your little dear country, try to do something positively. Be a watchdog for the environment. Don't leave everything to the government. We dump our garbage anywhere, lit on the streets everywhere. Our behavior is telling me that we really don't care. Take some pride in your country. Volunteer to clean where it's dirty. Tourism development needs a healthy environment. Whenever we litter, we threaten our survival. So those who engage in it should be treated like criminals. So don't be afraid at all if they call you an informer. Report those who endanger our future. So if you really love this blessed land, these generation demands attention. Think about the future generation. Do what we can to preserve this island. The laws for littering we must enforce. We have to let justice take its course. If you are a proud citizen, you have the right, you have a reason to save this land from destruction. You have an obligation to become involved in anything which affects this nation.
The Solid Waste Management Corporation, SWMC, is working hard each and every day to keep St. Kitts clean. Our primary mandate is to collect household waste while maintaining the engineer sanitary landfill in Connery. While it is the responsibility of businesses to see to it that their garbage is properly collected and disposed of at the landfill, the SWMC offers a commercial waste disposal service with our NOSI program. We also offer a bin rental service where persons can rent large bins to do community cleanups or other waste disposal activities. Additionally, our headquarters in Taylor's Range include state-of-the-art conference rooms for rental. So when you're hosting another event, consider using the SWMC conference facilities. We want to continue serving you by keeping our environment clean. Because at the SWMC, waste matters. For more information, call our office at 465-9507.
Welcome back, guys, to Win Media SKN. And like I said just before the break, it is time for Talking Trash with our friends from the Solid Waste Management Corporation. And in the studio with me this morning is the lovely one and only Nama. Nama, how are you doing?
I'm good, Azim. How are you?
I'm doing great. It has been a while.
Yes, indeed. It has. It has.
Yeah.
You just disappeared. Poof.
Hey, sometimes that's what you gotta do, you know.
True that.
International man of mystery.
Interesting.
But you're back as well, because I do recognize that you had joined us from one of your excursions as well.
If we can call it that.
Yeah.
Sure, yes. Let's call it that, yes.
But it's good that we're both back here in studio, and yeah, you know, people always look forward to this show.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
For sure, and I'm sure they're very interested in what it is that you have for us today. So what's on the agenda?
Well, what's on the agenda today is waste characterization.
Wow, that is on important, man.
It is. It really is, because recently I have realized that although we have a general understanding of what waste is, some of us only think about waste in a very linear way. Like, okay, so waste is what I produce from home, out of my home. That's the only thing we see as waste. So your garbage, your household waste, is the only waste that you define as waste. Anything else, to some, it's not waste.
Oh.
Right? So I said, hey, why don't we talk about it a little bit?
Let's talk about it.
So waste in general, we have an understanding of what waste is. It's material, substance, or byproduct eliminated or discarded as no longer useful or required after the completion of a process. And of course, it can be defined in other ways as well. But in general terms is that, you know, you've used it, now it must be discarded. That's waste.
Simple enough.
Yeah. So pretty much, yeah, right?
Yeah, I get that.
So how do we characterize waste, or how do we differentiate between the different types of waste? Because there are different types of waste. For those persons who've had the privilege of going to the landfill and having to pay that very tiny, very, very, very
minuscule
tipping fee, you would have been asked what type of waste you're bringing. And so it would then be categorized as either hazardous waste, industrial waste, C&D, which is construction and demolition waste, or green waste for the, that's what we get frequently. Well, not hazardous waste, not too
Wasteman is a
frequently.
category? Yeah, somebody
Pardon?
used that term yesterday. Wasteman.
Wasteman?
Yeah, wasteman. That's a category?
I don't think it's a category by us.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, somebody said the term yesterday.
It might be somewhere else,
Oh, okay.
perhaps, in society.
That's outside of the purview of this conversation.
Yes, certainly. So, no, we do not collect waste, man. For sure.
Good to know.
But most of the time, most persons just consider waste as municipal waste, which is a waste that's produced from home, which is what we collect.
Got you.
Other than that, they don't consider it waste. So I recall having a conversation very recently with a gentleman, and they were about to pretty much demolish a building. It's an old building or whatever and stuff like that. And of course, the waste from there, in conversation, he's telling me that's not waste.
What?
And yeah, he's saying it's not waste because it can be repurposed for something else or something like that. I said, well, technically it is waste. It's still waste. And
So he thought it was.
I don't know. But he said it's not waste. He said, calling it waste is just, for him, it was too much to swallow because he, in his mind, waste is the garbage that's produced from home that's icky and sticky.
And you bring outside in the yellow plastic bags
Right.
and white plastic bags and such.
Yeah. So for him, he just couldn't reconcile the two.
Mm.
And that's understandable. That, okay, you can't reconcile the two. However, it does not negate the fact that that is waste.
Agreed.
Right? So just because you can't reconcile it does not mean that it isn't so. So I thought, okay, let's discuss the types of waste, how we categorize waste, and why it's important to categorize the waste. And it's important to categorize the waste because it determines where, how, and pretty much when you can dispose of it.
Okay.
So hazardous waste has to be treated in a particular way. So the when and the where matters as opposed to municipal waste or construction and demolition waste. Because construction and demolition waste is so bulky and so forth, how you dispose of it is important. Let's say you might have to mix it with something else so that there are not too many air pockets forming underneath there for all this methane gas to be passing through over the years. Of course, then you're going to have green waste. And when it comes to green waste, that breaks down at a different rate than construction and demolition. So, of course, you'll have to dispose of it in a particular way as well. So all of this matters. So when you come to the landfill and we ask you what type of waste, it's not because we fast and want to be all up in your business. It's because we need to let you know where to go to dispose of that waste.
And because it's, like you said, it has to be treated differently from,
Right.
based on its characteristics.
So, for example, you have landfills, not ours currently, but you have landfills that do, what do you call that? Oh, my goodness, it just slipped my mind. But where they take the green waste and compost.
Compost,
So they do
right.
composting. And so you have what we could call clean compost. And then you have grey compost. Grey compost is usually mixed with like municipal, like those things from the household so food stuff.
Right.
So that kind of compost is a little different from what we might term as clean compost. And clean compost would basically just be trees and green waste,
Okay.
right? No metals, no anything of the sort. And so in determining that, if we, let's say, are to initiate a space where we're doing composting, we'd want to first determine, okay, what type of green waste are we getting? Is it clean enough to be clean compost, or do we just stick to grey compost? Right? And so there are landfills in some of the other islands where they would do the composting as well as the mulch and, break down the branches and all of that.
Right.
And all of these things. So it matters what type of waste you're bringing. So if you're bringing green waste, don't hide construction and demolition below. If you're bringing construction, don't hide hazardous waste below, trying to cheat the system, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect us all.
Right.
So, for example, if you have waste that's hazardous and you bring it in, it's supposed to be treated in a particular way. You're putting people's lives at risk.
Right.
That's what you're doing. So if you hide the fact that there is hazardous waste in there, that can mean someone's life.
I mean, but the responsible people that we have here in the Federation would never do something like that.
Of course not. Never. How can you even? Never. We're talking about other places.
Yeah, of course.
Apart from us, because.
But perhaps people maybe don't fully understand some of the terms and what is categorized. Just like the gentleman you were speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, like hazardous waste, like what are some of the places like here in the Federation that may generate some of that?
So hazardous waste, we in the Federation, most households don't really produce hazardous waste, but we do have a lot
You
of.
just spend some of these baby pampers something. You can't tell me that ain't hazardous. You can't tell me that don't count.
That might be not quite hazardous, but
Okay, you're the expert. So
high
I'll
risk,
go with
perhaps high risk.
Okay.
Yeah, let's put it at high risk.
Wow.
I don't know what those children are taking in, but whatever it is, they need a purge. But okay, so let's say, for example, you have places that doctors' offices, or you have tattoo shops and so forth. This type of waste, medical waste and so forth,
Medical
is
waste,
in a
okay.
sense hazardous. So they are supposed to label their waste in a particular way and arrange for collection for it to be collected properly, right? Of course, the hospital will produce hazardous waste as well. Institutions that partake in certain things, so
our factories and
the
stuff like that.
funeral homes, all of So they would have waste that is hazardous, and it has to be treated in a particular way, and it has to be placed somewhere specific at the landfill for collection, and the staff that has to deal with it also has to be trained.
Right.
So it's not, you can't just have any and anyone deal with it. You start first day, hey, go deal with that. No, that can't happen.
Don't sound a good idea.
Right? And usually external persons come in to assist with that as well.
Okay.
Right? So because it is a risk, a huge risk at that. And if somebody were to do something that they aren't supposed to, they're not just putting themselves at risk. They might be putting the entire landfill at risk. You might be putting generations to come at risk.
Right. Well.
Not just ours. So we have to treat it properly. I know most of us don't like to come and dispose of green waste, but green waste is the waste that you would cut in your yard, right? Or if you're clearing a space and so forth. So
You mean the waste that people normally just burn?
Yeah.
There's lighter fire in the space between you and your neighbor?
Yes, that.
Right on your neighbor window?
And not knowing what is there, who fling what there. Somebody could have basically thrown a tank of gas or something, an old tank of gas, and then you have one big explosion. Or it could be something else, a little mini fridge, a little this, and you just set ablaze somewhere, and the ramifications of that. So we might think, the probability is low. Even though the probability is low, it's still a possibility.
Right.
So do you want to be that lucky winner?
I think sometimes people just don't recognize even how serious some of those actions are in terms of, like you said, people don't recognize the type of toxic fumes that come from burning something like plastic, like a fridge, and them kind of things. So
because we just see smoke, we see black smoke, we run from the black smoke, and we think that's it. Just the other day, and quite often we do get fires over what's that? Windsor, those fields down there, and going across. Like Otley's and so forth, you might see some fires. But the smoke is so dark. And I mean, sometimes it's burning close to the sea or the ocean, right? But that smoke is coming straight up over Molyneux, over Keon, like it's coming straight across. So you burning something quieto by the sea. You're thinking it's not gonna harm anyone, but we experience the ashes driving home or going somewhere. We experience that.
When them came field burn all down Bellevue, Harris' Saddlers, you could smell that.
Yes, and sometimes where it starts off, it's so much further down.
Yeah.
And then these are fires that are not easy to control.
Just gotta let it burn, like Usher said.
You, just let it burn and hope that it burns out. And sometimes it may not burn out before it gets to a residential area, or it may not burn out before someone has an asthmatic attack.
Right.
This is triggering somebody else. I mean, persons with asthma or persons with allergies and so forth, they can tell you, or persons who have difficulty breathing. Just something simple can trigger an asthmatic attack, and that can mean life or death for somebody else. My pump might be too far away for me to get it, or I might be home alone, or I might be sleeping, because some people now like to set things ablaze during the night so they can see how beautiful the firework is. Or something. I don't know. So I'm there sleeping peacefully, because it's hot now. My window open.
Of course,
my window is not open, folks. So just saying that. Just putting it out there. But my window open, smoke coming in, and that's it. Or someone's child. You're affecting other persons. It's not just about you. I mean, I know innately we are selfish beings, but we're supposed to be selfish about our survival as a species as well. And in order for us to survive as a species, we need to stop doing some really dumb stuff. Because it's not like we don't know. We know burning is wrong. Because if you don't know it's wrong, you'll do it in hiding. Or you will do it openly. You will publicize it that, hey, I am going to burn this field. But the fact that you're hiding means that you know it is wrong.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to set anything ablaze without notifying the fire department.
That's how we go?
Yes.
I think a lot of people does do that.
You're not supposed to. You're supposed to let the fire department know before. That's what they're there for.
But now you say it kind of makes sense, eh? Now you say it kind of makes sense. Like if I can start a fire, perhaps I should let the fire department know.
Yes, you should.
Somebody else said they're going to find out.
Especially if using accelerants and so forth. You really should let the fire department know, hey, I am about to start a fire. Or should I? That I am about to. You should notify. You should ask, request. Should I start this fire or not? And they will let you know. Or they would say, okay, in order to do this, X, Y, and Z needs to be put in place. Or X, Y, and Z, da. And then you avoid all of these negative consequences.
I get you.
Right?
I get you.
But construction and demolition waste is one of those that people don't like to come to the landfill to dispose. So we see it a lot in the guts and in the rivers and in people's properties and so forth.
Field.
Yes. And of course, that's just not right. It does have consequences for our health, for everybody. So, and I mean, again, the tipping fees are minuscule.
That's the point. It costs so little to dispose of it properly. Sometimes you spend more money on gas climbing the hill that you're going to climb to. I don't understand.
So I think it just makes more sense. Just come over to the landfill and just pay that tipping fee, and then we'll tell you exactly where to go and dispose of it. And so it will be disposed of properly.
Not up in the hill when you reach up the road, you can't even turn around, you got to reverse halfway down the hill, almost flip over the gut.
Bye.
I don't know, man.
Bye.
People don't like things make the work easier.
No, not at all. It seems as though sometimes as human beings, just because somebody tells us we can't do it, we will find the harder path and do it.
That might be part of it.
Yeah, I think it's something about us as a species. I just don't always comprehend us as a species. I try to understand But anyway, I don't understand myself, so how am I supposed to understand the species? But really and truly, as a people, we're supposed to care about our survival. And I was listening to something. I think it was actually Alison Hines who posted it recently, and an African lady, was speaking about. She was saying that as Africans on the motherland, Europeans have pillaged and so forth and whatever. And so the person who was interviewing her asked her, so do you hate Europeans? And she said, no, I don't hate Europeans. They did what they did for the survival of their species. Well, as a people,
right?
Because we're all one species. But they did what they did for their survival. So you should not hate because they did what they did. It's now up to you to do what you must do for the survival of your kind. So people do what they're supposed to do for their survival. Sometimes we don't understand. So our survival long term and our survival short term sometimes may seem contradictory. So for the person, they're thinking perhaps, okay, so I save $1 today by not going to dispose of that waste because I need to survive and buy this bread or extra bread for whatever. So you're thinking short term, so okay, they're doing that for their survival, quote unquote. But long term, the same children you're trying to feed today, you're putting at risk tomorrow by disposing of that waste where you ought not. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to go up the river and I'm going to dump that waste there because the person pay me X, Y, and Z amount and me want to get solid waste. So I'm going home with all of this because my children them need books, my children them need this or that, and that's survival. You're trying to survive. However, that same river needs to flow for the next couple 100 years in order for your children and their children to survive. But you're looking at survival on a short-term basis, whereas we need to start looking at survival on a long term, and it requires for us to be a little less selfish and a lot more selfless in order to think about survival beyond our time.
Right.
And so I really hope that we take some time and reflect on what are we doing, what part are we playing in our survival, in the survival of the species. And I think there's going to come a time when we're going to have to really sit down and see how we're going to go into the future with regards to waste as a country, as a nation. Where do we, because there are different paths, not all of them bad. So there are other paths and we choose from one of the good paths. Okay, what are we going to do to really and truly, how are we going to treat our waste, what measures are we going to put in place, and how are we going to hold everyone accountable?
Do you think that one, I want to believe that we're already there. I think when we start talking about even the lifespan of the landfill, I think we're at a place where we have to start having these conversations. Are these conversations that you are privy to, or is it that we are now recognizing that we have to start looking at that?
Well, I think in terms of the lifespan of the landfill, it's not like a hidden secret. It's something that we've spoken about on this show several times. And for those persons who are interested in waste, they definitely know that there is a lifespan. And but at the same time, it's not quite general knowledge because waste, I think I spoke about this last week, waste is something that we sort of forget. Once we put that in the garbage bin, we forget. We just want to know that it was picked up. We don't want to know where it went, how, what happens to it. Because if you really think about the amount of waste you're generating as an individual, and then you think about the space that we have on the island, that in itself is a wake-up call. Like, we look tiny, and I'm producing a lot of waste. So the number of bottles of water I'm drinking, or the how many packs of ramen I'm using, all those wrappers, that's waste. Or even fruits or this or that, whatever it is you're using, think about the amount of garbage bags you're putting into the bin on a weekly basis. and then multiply that by 50 something, and then multiply that by your age. And that's just you one.
Right.
What about the rest of the household, your neighbors, your entire community, the entire nation? What about the hotels?
And do you think that generally people are aware of the fact that as a nation we produce a lot of waste for our size, just even in relation to other countries? We're not
I don't
unique?
believe
Okay.
so. I don't believe we truly understand that we are leading the race.
We lead the race in waste generation.
Yes. We good at a lot of things, including that.
Yeah,
It seems as though whatever we do, we just want to top the charts. And that's a good thing.
Sometimes come in last and it was.
In some regards, but
Yeah.
as you're saying, some things, we kind of need to not want to always be
At the top.
We need to relax a little bit, let others win that race, and we try to give other people the glory, and we will win the other race. By doing that, by allowing somebody else to win that race, we will inadvertently actually win the race. So let's focus, let's reshift that focus.
So do you believe that the conversations that need to be had at a policymaker decision, meaning, the people who understand waste, understand just that whole industry, right? Do you believe that some of those conversations need to perhaps include the population? Because you come here every week and we talk about this, and I think a lot of people learn a lot and hopefully are making the subsequent adjustments to their lifestyle based on what they learn here, right? But if generally a lot of people don't recognize we generate a lot of waste, this isn't something that just disappears once, the truck comes and picks it up. And if we don't make some decisions now, we're going to end up, there's a possibility we could end up in a very precarious position. Like, if people don't recognize those things, then how are we going to avoid ending up in said positions?
Well, sensitization, education. So when I come and I speak here, there are persons who will share that message. But of course, this is just one platform. You have persons within the different ministries. So you have the Ministry of Health, you have especially environment, who are working towards that, and tourism as well. So you have some ministries that have sort of interconnected interests, yes, and the conversations are being had, but there also needs to be the thing is, so we have persons who lead who are not necessarily versed in every single topic. So it's up to those persons within the ministries as well to inform and to sort of lead the charge, because at the end of the day, and I don't say that in a negative way, because you can't know everything.
Right.
And that's why you have those persons in the ministries who are knowledgeable and who are who have learnt the whatever needs to be adjusted. So in terms of policy making and so forth, I will implore individuals, because so persons who are employed, let's say for example in solid waste, it's a small number of individuals. Even if we're making noise, unless the general public as well makes that noise, the policy makers will not hear, because you tend to hear what is being shouted the most. It's not, I wouldn't say it's anyone's fault really. It's just, I guess, how our system is set up.
Right.
So the conversations are being had, and you do have leaders who are very, very interested and who are very passionate about waste and waste management and so forth. And I believe we're going to be seeing, because look at Pakistan now. with the flooding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe they said a third or a quarter of the entire country is
Underwater,
water. Trinidad, it has flooded
Mm-hmm.
right in our back door or back step or whatever. And we have other places. Just a couple weeks ago, we saw South Korea, and these are just floodings. There was a while back we were just hearing about fires. So climate change, no matter what Trump would like to say and some persons would like to believe, climate change is real. It's happening. And we're feeling it. The heat that we felt this summer was not like the heat we felt last summer.
Felt?
Feeling.
Oh.
We're feeling.
Yeah, me. Night and all hot.
But
Me don't understand what's going on. Me not.
it's this, and this is climate change. That's what's happening.
Because what the reason I asked that, especially I spoke about the policymakers, it does feel as though we need, these conversations need to be had, but I think the goal should be to formulate some type of national agenda, right? And that agenda would include realistic and attainable targets over time, right? So, and I think that those should be pretty much known by every citizen as much as possible, right?
Right,
So,
yes.
so for instance, you'll hear conversations about we're trying to reduce such and such and such by such and such percent by such and such year, right?
Yeah,
I
all those
don't-
SDGs that float around.
Yeah, but I don't like them things don't mean much to us here, right? Because a lot of times we don't recognize that we even contribute to that anyway. We think we're smart, everything. But I think if we have our own national goals that really speak to us, and not only, and like I said, realistic and attainable, but if we understand that they're realistic and attainable, that means someone would have had to work out, okay, what needs to be done in order for us to achieve this. And so that information would be readily available and put out there. So if they say we're trying to reduce the use of plastics, single-use plastics by 2025, right? Then they would know, well, what we have to do to achieve that is such. And then people would know, well, hey, they done say by 2025 we're done with plastics, yeah. So I know by next year they're gonna start say we can't use this and blah blah blah. And so people are part of the process in a sense.
So, in terms of assessment and so forth, that has been ongoing for quite some time, where the different departments and so forth would meet and they would discuss, and different bodies will come in, and assessment is being done as to what we're producing and what can we do to either reduce or mitigate. I believe we're going forward into the implementation phases now, where we can really see how we're going to do it, and then the public will be sensitized. So I have had the privilege of being on some of those platforms where persons from the different departments and so forth will say, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we're producing, this is how it's affecting, and what do we need to do to reduce that? And so, of course, we do seek assistance as well from other bodies, because funding and all of that right now, and if you need any funding and so forth, you better have some sort of climate change green,
Yeah, that seemed to
something
be,
has to be in it, because I believe it has been recognized that we need to change. It's not a matter of we want to change anymore, it's we need to in order to survive.
Do you believe that one of the things that hamper the widespread culture shifts that we need to see is the fact that a lot of it is very compartmentalized, the messaging as well as the action. So, and I don't think this is a Sinkits thing, so it ain't cussing Sinkits, but where you find, okay, this particular department, based on their objectives and agendas, they think this is what needs to happen. And yeah, there's some crossover and some linkage with what's happening in this department.
Right.
But this department, okay, well, for this month we're doing this, and then next week then there's this one over here say, well, this is what we think need to happen, and this. So it's not necessarily a fact that there's a national response to whatever the issue is. It does sometimes seems to be very compartmentalized.
And I
that
think
the
that
corporation
that has been recognized, and I believe that's why you have all these departments trying to really work together. So the Sustainable Development Council, for example, you have representations from various departments in government, corporations, and the private sector as well. And when it comes to a lot of these movements, it's really environmental based. And so in the beginning of the meeting, you have to state what projects are being done or what's being undertaken so that so everyone puts it on their calendar pretty much and supports. So that exactly that doesn't happen. So you'll have one large project as opposed to 3 smaller projects at different times competing for the same audience.
Right.
And so I think that's going to be happening even more because persons are becoming, so I don't want to say becoming nationalists, but we are, most of us. But I think we're recognizing that we are stronger together than we are apart. So everyone wanting to be the person that signs at the bottom line does not mean squat.
Right.
It's about what did we do to write that paper, that group project.
Right.
So everyone's name doesn't necessarily have to be on it. Is okay, we did it. Once it's done, I think persons are recognizing that once it's done, it's okay. It doesn't matter who gets the recognition or the credit. And once we move beyond credit and recognition, then we'll make a lot more progress as well. But I believe we're moving in the right direction, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
I'm happy to hear that because, like I said, I think what we really need is some concrete national agenda, policy, whatever it is, and that would then kind of inform some of what we do. I think a lot of times
existence is just for the public to be made aware of, so sometimes the information is there. It's just we don't know how to tap into it as a general public.
Right.
And it's because sometimes also sensitization is a difficult task to make everyone aware of what's going on. And so it's usually persons with interest that would know what's going on. So I would encourage also the general public to become interested.
Yeah, and listen to ILNT because we have all the information.
You don't know. Yeah.
But Nama, it's been a real pleasure talking to you this morning.
Yes, it was.
And it's always that. Let's put it that way. So I look forward to Tuesdays when you come and hang out. We even went overtime today.
Yes, we did. I said, but has it asked me that questions, bye?
No, because I'm interested.
See?
Right.
Okay.
Right,
I could let me cross off my list. One interested. So I hope I'll be able to cross off a lot of names on the list. Our population is growing, and so we need to really be cognizant of the fact that we do have a limited space, and we need to remember that the waste that we generate has to go somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah. So I can't wait to see you guys next week. Right here on 98.9, and to just share with you a little bit more. And of course, if there's any questions or topics that you want us to be able to cover, you can just put it in the comment section, and we will try to cover that for you as soon as possible. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, to inform. Right?
Indeed we are.
Yes. So thank you for joining us right here on Talking Trash. And see y'all next week.
If you say you love your little dear country, try to do something positively. Be a watchdog for the environment. Don't leave everything to the government. We dump our garbage anywhere, lit on the streets everywhere. Our behavior is telling me that we really don't care. Take some pride in your country. Volunteer to clean where it's dirty. Tourism development needs a healthy environment. Whenever we litter, we threaten our survival. So those who engage in it should be treated like criminals. So don't be afraid at all if they call you an informer. Report those when danger our future. So if you really love this blessed land, this situation demands attention. Think about the future generation. Do what we can to preserve this island. The laws for littering we must enforce. We have to let justice take its course. If you are a proud citizen, you have the right, you have a reason to save this land from destruction. You have an obligation to become involved in anything which affects this nation.
The Solid Waste Management Corporation, SWMC, is working hard each and every day to keep St. Kitts clean. Our primary mandate is to collect household waste while maintaining the engineer's sanitary landfill in Connery. While it is the responsibility of businesses to see to it that their garbage is properly collected and disposed of at the landfill, the SWMC offers a commercial waste disposal service with our Nosy program. We also offer a bin rental service where persons can rent large bins to do community cleanups or other waste disposal activities. Additionally, our headquarters in Taylor's Range include state-of-the-art conference rooms for rental. So when you're hosting another event, consider using the SWMC conference facilities. We want to continue serving you by keeping our environment clean. Because at the SWMC, waste matters. For more information, call our office at 465-9507.
The biggest party in sport is back for the 10th year of CPL, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots return as the champions. CPL will be bigger, better and louder than ever, with more sixes, more entertainment and more of the world's best players. And this year there's also women's games, with the Women's CPL taking place right here in St. Kitts. The games are between the 31st of August and the 4th of September. Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at Warner Park. Join the party. Experience cricket played louder.
Here are your Hostel's Value Mart IG Value Club Blue Tag specials from August 25th through September 7th. Del Monte Fruit Bowls, 4-pack, $12.99. Nature Valley Granola Bars, $12.99. Kellogg's Special K, $16.99. Simply Punches, $9.99 each. Essential Everyday Sliced Single Cheeses, $8.99. Essential Everyday Pancake Mixes, $9.99. And now, our very low weekly value deals. Duncan Hines Cake Mixes, $7.99. Mueller's Pastels, $4.99. Dial Soap, 3 bars, $9.99. Pepperidge Farm Cakes, $19.99. Rice-A-Roni, just $6.99. And Essential Everyday Ketchup, just $4.49. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Hey guys, welcome back to Island Tea right here on Win Media SKN. We're deep into the last hour actually of the show. Today, August 30th. It's a Tuesday, and just before we jumped into talking trash, we were talking a bit about some of these things that we've come to expect and witness in the aftermath of elections, specifically some of the moves that have to be made. And I think the general consensus that I'm seeing online is that there's a need for some checks and balances. Hey Bunting, big up yourself. And morning to everybody on the live or in the chat room. Y'all doing it this morning. So yeah, that's kind of where we were at. And you could feel free to join the conversation. The reason being, I did see several of the phone lines lighting up prior to us having to jump into talking trash. So I want to give you the opportunity to comment on that. And here we go. Somebody's trying to get in actually. So let's pick up that call. Good morning, caller. You're live on LNT. Talk to me.
Hey, good morning, Asim. How you doing?
Morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh man, you're giving God thanks. I have a lot to be thankful for, you know.
Indeed.
Yes. Because it is the spirit that sustains the man, you see. It's not the man, the spirit is the spirit that sustains the man.
For sure.
Let me first start. Yesterday, I was trying to send some birthday greetings. But somebody was sabotaging the phones.
You want to send them
I don't have a serious talk with Flo, you know.
Bye.
A little rain, the landline go down. A little thing, you know. I mean, not just this station, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
The other stations suffer the same thing, too.
Interesting.
It's either something has to do with the way it is set up or whatever, but we are you all have to have a serious talk with Flo. The home phones just give trouble, too.
Oh.
We get heavy rains.
Okay.
You don't know. Anyway, belated birthday greetings to my daughter, Aisha Henry. She's a beautiful young lady, preschool teacher from St. Paul's.
Happy belated, Aisha.
Yeah, man. The last one. And when God bless her, and God bless all the children that she would have taught and are going to teach.
For sure.
Today, King Pharaoh, the Calypsonian.
Yes.
Today, I have no idea where he is right now, but today is his birthday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Big up
he's
Pharaoh.
a part of my family, but I haven't seen or heard of him for a while. So happy birthday, somebody. If you know where you tell him, I say, Sister Sylvie, say happy birthday.
Nice.
Now there's a scripture that says, I think it is in Proverbs, it said, when I deal with your enemies and you rejoice over them, I shall stop and turn on you. Is he talking about empathy?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
A lot of us like to rejoice over people's discomfort, people's pain. Even if they deserve it. The rejoicing, to me, is obscene. I mean, some people calling for everybody to go. Everybody must go. Clean the place. The song and the chant will change if somebody in the household gets sent home. You know that?
That's generally the case, yeah.
Yeah, you will see how quick the voice change. You know, I recall when I was studying in Jamaica, I think under the IMF, when they cut the public service, to the horror of some people who thought they were safe, everybody in some household went home, was sent home. It happened in Barbados too.
Yeah.
When Mayor Matley, the IMF sent home 5,000. And some people were sure they knew who was going and who was to go. And it ended up to even the people who were cutting the verges, cutting the grass and so they went home too. So while it is true, you see, I have been in the government service, I was in there for nearly 36 years. I've seen governments come and go, come and go, come and go. And while you send home this set, you nicely move into the same office without even thinking that the next turn might be you. And the placement of people in the public service encourages low productivity for those down below. You know, I recall we had a survey, a labor force survey in 1994, just before the government change. And the recommendation was, and Douglas Watley could answer, he was put in charge of restructuring the public service. You ever hear about that?
Yeah.
The recommendation was like in Trinidad and some other countries, you have to pass an exam to be promoted to another level. You don't just move up, or some politicians say appointed here and appointed here. So you would have people in the same department who would have worked up. So you can't just jump tomorrow morning and become permanent secretary. You would have to qualify for it. So we have this culture around here. Take down, put up, take down, put up. And those who are below that position find themselves stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck. Because the truth is, a permanent secretary is not a political position, contrary to what people think. What the name is permanent. They are public servants. But we get so accustomed to be fighting for the position that we don't even know. And we're not even aware that we could challenge it. And this putting in our people, some of them, they know they don't qualify. You put somebody there because, as one person told me, they want to have somebody in certain position that they have confidence in. Confidence don't move the public service, you know.
But I think we're looking at it at from a certain level, right?
Yeah.
And but I do believe that the reason why those things are maybe more tolerated is because there's an expectation from it of similar type of behavior, even at the lowest level of the civil service. For instance,
Yeah.
I mean, you want to be able to go down to your rep who you vote for and tell him, my grandchild just done with school and he need a job, and the expectation is that he should say, okay, tell him go here tomorrow.
And some of them don't look, because I have been in the suburbs to tell you, we have had cases where people show up at the office. Good morning, Mr. Day.
Such and such.
The minister sent me, said, send you. Sometimes the permanent secretary in the thing don't even know.
No, I don't think that is a. I feel like that happens. I feel like that happens.
When they come, because nothing went down for them. They're not paid sometimes for a while. You know, and I recalled, I won't call it here, but somewhere place they said to root out. They send us here to root out PAM people. So it become a tradition. When you move in, you root out. They bring in another set and then they also get root out. We allow ourselves sometimes to be used. We allow it to,
Yeah, but allow it is one thing, but I think a lot of times we encourage it, you know.
But that's what I'm telling you.
We encourage it ourselves, yeah.
You hear the noise answer, right? This one want that position and that one met that position.
But I think it's to a point now where people are not afraid to have these conversations plainly out in the open in the public forum. They say, hey, I make noise, I walk around in this color or whatever, and they say nothing new. They say nothing that is new in this particular election cycle or anything. It's been going on since I small, and I show you before that.
I have been in the service, I'm telling you. You know, and it is counterproductive because there is reaction down below. And you would get better if we had a real civil service, a professional one. You'd have less of this, you know. You would have less of this.
Yes.
And they're not controlling the behavior, because you could see it in all the governments, past, present, and maybe future. People are allowed to use their position as constituency offices. You see how director put it? They're allowed to use the government office as constituency offices. So they canvass. They do whatever they could. Now, when you expose yourself like that, you're unprofessional. So you might as well expect to go. But if you are professional, this is why I say, each person should be judged individually. You see what I'm saying? If you were a professional, because remember I said, for those who don't know, permanent secretaries are government. They are government public officers appointed, while recommended by the whoever minister. The Public Service Commission is the one who can fire them. Some people saying, "Oh, send in your resignation." But if you resign yourself, how you expect to get your benefits?
That's the thing, and you got mortgage to pay.
You understand? Some people don't understand, you know. When they tell you go home, they got to give you your pay. If you're certain, you got to get your pension. If you go up and resign, you're not entitled to anything, you know. And they are free to challenge it. A lot of people, we could say, deserve it. But you don't got to rejoice over them, because election in 2027, what happens if they lose the majority? When will we have a professional public service? And everybody know who's supposed to go. Well, if the parties who lost, people supposed to go, you actually setting the trend for when the government change for your party people to go. So the cycle. Who will break the cycle?
But I think that is it. That is the issue as well. You know, that it is a cycle, and people seem to be
far too long.
Yeah.
Far too long, and the people who are most vocal, some of them were part of it. And you look and see. Another thing I try to tell people, you know, the only people who love poor people is God. The Bible says, a poor man is hated even of his own brethren. You see him coming and he hide himself. It's in Proverbs, in case you don't know. And they're not qualified for the position that they're making noise about. That one must go, but they're not qualified for it. And they have the breakers, the monopoly breakers, or whoever breaker you call them, in the parties. Look and see who get the positions. Look and see. You make a lot of noise, they make you a cleaner. They make you a messenger. They put you on papa step or whatever.
Yeah.
And those who don't open their mouths. Look at the boards. Look at the boards. One thing for sure, I'm glad that the new Banking Act, says anybody who go on the board for the National Bank must have expertise in that field. So this ain't you just throwing somebody because, oh, well, you go there. You go down by the bank and you go. And for those for Social Security and Development Bank, the criteria should apply. And all the old ones, they were complaining about all the old ones. I am watching. If the old ones should go home, then do not start by putting the old ones on any board. We got to learn to be consistent. They don't collect their Social Security. I left at 55 with them. At 55, nobody had to ask me. I ain't asked nobody. Get your life in order. The government do run courses, you know, in preparing for retirement, but they don't go. You have this central bank, all kind of people doing financial literacy, they don't go. So when the government change and they say you go one at a bawling and wailing, all of you who out there clamoring for the positions, remember the party's new policies, according as stated, is for the old people to go home. So I don't want to hear nobody over 55. And by the way, 62 is the retirement age. I was to correct it for somebody who said the new Pension Act passed in 2011, but 2012 says anybody who joined this civil service or the public service before 2011 must go home at 55. If you join the civil service after 2011, you go home at 62. You hear what I said? Because some people saying everybody 55 now.
We can see.
Once you come in after 2011, 2012, you go to 62. I'll stop there so others could come in. Good morning. My good friend name is St. Croix. Richie Bunting, good morning. Richie Bunting just come out to cuss me. Good morning, good morning. And to all our people in St. Croix, you know, my heart goes out. There's a lot of murdering. May the Lord have mercy. And protect yourself, our people. Protect yourself. All right, then.
All right. Thanks for your contribution. Right, I was St. Croix there. I feel it from my friends on nearby. I had a friend went down there to perform the other day. About 10 people went to the event. Things just kind of real, you know, low. Let's say it's low. I think St. Croix need a injection by. But that's neither here nor there. We have another call on the line. Good morning, caller. You're live on LNT. What's up?
Right, man.
Hey, what's going on?
Cool. I listen to Sylvie, and I kind of want to disagree with certain aspect of what she said. I understand part of it, but you see, when we're not consistent in our systems, this is what we end up with.
How does message one another, man? She just pick you up and you come in right after? How does message behind the scenes, man?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying here, right? You maybe we need to change the name permanent secretary to something else, because you cannot say because the word permanent is in there, so you have permanent employment no matter what administration comes in. But yet, a politician appoints you to that position. If a politician appoints you to that position, that is a political appointment.
Well, I think the point that she was making is that, like in other countries where you have to, you know, for instance, prove through either testing or being promoted through the ranks of the department, to get there. So if you look at it from that, I don't think she spoke to that particular point.
Well, we can't look at it that way because that's not what we have.
No, but I think that's what she was suggesting. Though. I think she was suggesting that that's something that we should look at, professionalizing the civil service.
Because if then what should happen is the commission should be the one totally responsible for placing people.
Yeah, I think that was the suggestion.
But here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. In a small country like ours, with the kind of divisive kind of politics we have, it's dangerous. Not just for the administration, you know, because actions have consequences. That's dangerous to the entire system.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. However, I believe the dangers that you are alluding to generally would come through some unprofessional behavior, right?
But that's the point. But we see it all the time.
No, but so what I'm saying is, if we have a situation where people, what I'm saying is, if we have a situation where people are judged based on their performance, competence, professionalism, and such, do you believe that would go a way to sort of stem some of that behavior? If it's a matter that you are not, in other words, if your assessment is not based on, if your appointment wasn't based on politics, if your assessment isn't based on politics, do you believe that would go a long way in trying, in at least helping to promote professional behavior and competence?
I could go along with that.
Okay.
But human nature is human nature, and people politics are their politics in St. Kitts.
Right. But what I'm saying is,
Those are
if,
very
even if
thin
people do
lines.
that, then the consequences would follow.
But that is what's happening now. That's the point we're making. It is what's happening now. So people are falling on their own sword.
Well, I don't know if that's I don't know if that's exactly what we suggested. But
Because remember, people's action. Let's give somebody in a high position office. Their bad actions doesn't always have to mean that, okay, there's a project going on and somebody sabotaged the project or whatever. No, it's not just that. You could have people in there leaking out information that should not be in the public at the moment.
But that's what was in my mind as you spoke. That's what was in my mind as you spoke. What I'm saying is, if those things happen, that sort of unprofessionalism, as a matter of fact, it generally would go against the agreements that you would have signed or oaths that you would have taken in some cases, if you were to do that type of thing, which would be grounds for instant dismissal. I think so. What I'm saying is, if we have a situation where you aren't hired based on politics, your assessments aren't done based on politics, but rather based on competence, performance, professionalism, adhering to the standards that you agreed to and are expected of you, would that not go somewhere in trying to limit that type of behavior? And if that type of behavior does happen, then we expect that the consequences would be, dismissal.
All right, and you see what the problem is as well too. We want to have, or some of us want to have a cake and eat it. Okay. Maybe that is why the policy they had years ago, the standard had years ago, that once you're in government, you can speak out. You understand? As draconian as that may be, maybe in a small community and system that like we have, maybe a policy like that had a whole lot of merit in it.
Based on what you're saying, is it that you're suggesting because we are people in a small society, we are incapable of operating in a professional...
No, I'm not saying we are incapable.
Okay.
The problem with that is that everything is closely woven and connected. You see, in a large society, the larger the society gets, the more and more people are disconnected. As you get small, as the numbers dwindle down, everything is connected. In other words, so, where else in the world? And I'm going to give them the props because they're highly educated. But in any other place in the world other than a dictatorship, where you could find one family ran through a government at the height that like the Harris is. No, I'm not suggesting that there's something wrong next to with that. Right? But all I'm saying is, because our community is so small, right? Once you got high-level people within a family, let's say a family, it may not be far-fetched for that to happen. But however, though, this is where common sense is supposed to come in. And fairness and the appearance of. Because if people are highly educated, whatever, that means they could find employment anyway.
Well, you see, I have a different view. I think what you're saying is that based on our small size, some of these problems are inherent. I am saying that I believe that what encourages these types of issues in the service is based on the way that the service is operated. And I believe though, but either way, I believe that we should put structures in place, whether we believe that the issue is because of small size and familiarity or the visceral type of politics that we have, or whatever the reason is, that we should structurally put systems in place to lessen, avoid that type of behavior, and to also course correct when that behavior is evident. Would you agree with that at least?
And that policy that Sylvia spoke about earlier with the banks, the new appointments for board and stuff, I think that's foolishness. I can tell you why. That needs to change.
That people who are placed on these boards should have expertise in the area?
Yeah, you don't have to have everybody in there like that, because I'm going to tell you the danger in that. Because the danger in that now is that board now only reflects, let's say, they only look at things from a totally financial aspect.
That's not true. That's not true. Because expertise in, for instance, if you use banking, for example, you can't, like, if you talk to 10 economists about one problem, you get 10 different answers.
Of course. I
right.
understand that.
And not only that, expertise, if you're going to say expertise in banking, it doesn't mean that all of them have to be bankers, for instance, are experts in loans, but you should have some type of expertise that you could contribute to the.
That's expertise in financing.
Say that again, sorry.
What I'm saying is, you need a board always need to have one or two persons that is actually outside of that particular system, because they're going to bring in a different type of human experience.
I don't know. For instance, I'll give you an example. If there's a recognition that the board deals with, for instance, human resource issues, then you would understand that, hey, we should have someone here who understands human resource. But that person should be an expert in what it is that they're doing. In other words, just saying that you should have some expertise in what is needed by the institution, I don't think that is a bad thing. And I don't think saying that means that everyone who comes in would then have similar points of view. I don't think that is the case. I don't think saying that, hey, if you are someone who is expected to be at the highest decision-making levels of this institution, that you should be an expert in whatever it is you bring to the table, I don't think that is a bad thing.
Yeah, she also made a false statement that the administration policy is to get rid of the old people. The Labour Minister platform never talk about getting rid of all old people out today. That's not a policy of the Labour Party. What they say is they want to give as many young people as possible opportunities. But they never blanketly say, no, get rid of all them old people. You had Labour supporters who was promoting that kind of stuff. There's a difference between a supporter saying what they think should be happening versus what the people who are going to be policy makers are saying.
All right, thanks for clearing that up.
You know? All right?
Yeah, man.
Thanks a lot, Asim. I appreciate.
Yeah, man. I appreciate your contribution.
I don't want to take too much time because the last lady and myself took up a lot of your time. So, all right?
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Welcome back, man. I hope you have a great vacation.
Hey, thanks.
Or vacation. Maybe it was a vacation.
You know we go.
All right.
All right, man. Thanks. All right. Thanks for your contribution again. But guys, I think these are conversations that we need to really have, and not just have for the sake of having them. I think there's a recognition that changes need to happen. One, if we are going to admit that, hey, what was there before was not working, then that is an admission that we can't continue doing the same thing, and so changes need to happen. Outside of the fact that in just general conversation or general view, there should be a underlying goal of seeking to improve these systems as we proceed. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Good morning. I see you take a vacation.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, what the topic is about. Yes, I didn't hear all about it because I was in my bedroom, you know.
Right.
They were saying something, and this gentleman saying something again. Well, we gotta clean up there, you know. We gotta put out and take in. And who want to reach the hospital, that's the business, the pressure going up high. Yeah, you gotta do the right thing. Let me ask you something. You're supposed to suppose they're paying for piece of land. You're supposed to take my receipt as a PM and make me believe you're gonna do more than that for me. And you never did bring me back my receipt, and whenever I call you, like you won't answer the phone, that you know who is me, you know. And then when you look, I call this another person who near to you, and she just laughing at me like a fool. Oh, that's look, that ain't like your mama guiding me.
This is all you're talking about something specific, you know.
Yeah, Professor, because the girl, they told me, it's somebody them saying, and the lady who happened to told me about it.
Not lady, how everybody just come and tell you the business, so you
yes.
Is it that like you just people just trust you? Why how it is?
Yes, on the road at 24/7 though. Yeah, and that is not right. You see, because what the girl telling me now, I don't ask her, what clicked me in my head the other day. I said, did you still were paying? He said, no, it gone out the computer. They must say delete it out. As I said, no, mom, they gone out. They delete it out. Hand button in touch. If your finger in touch the computer, you cannot move. But what happened? What she told me now that she have this survey paper. But the brother to the PM, I said, me want nobody near to me. So, just a plain devil advocate. Do you think maybe he take up some other land the person was supposed to get because the number is below him?
I have no idea what you're talking about, and I don't.
The PM just gone out to talking the truth. Me not talk to them.
Well, I don't. Like you hear what I say? I say I don't know what you talking about.
Well, yeah,
you know what you talking about. You know, but I don't know.
It's a land over Borough Gate. The land is over Borough Gate, and the PM.
Somehow I feel like you want them lock up the station, you know. I feel is that you want. I feel is that you want, you know. I feel you.
From that, yeah,
I feel you just feel like you like me and you really like me.
Okay. But this show you have what you mean a Dempsey story if the person tell me we happened to. Okay.
But you just say a Dempsey and then you say Dempsey.
Huh?
You just said Dempsey and then you tell me the person tell you. So
no, it's not a Dempsey story. I told you. I said it's not a Dempsey story.
Yeah, but then you tell me somebody tell you.
Well, she am too, so she tell it to me.
But that's what I tell you. Then it's a Dempsey. But then you telling it to me, so it's a Dempsey.
I know what you're saying. You see that some people try to come and express themselves, and you know. Okay, what about we are a small little island? And someone showed that to me the other night, speaking to them from Miami, that they think we should just have one general election, not Nevis election and St. Kitts election. What do you think about that? Let me show that, do you know, see what feedback you will get. We're too smaller that, well, Nevis have 68, Nevis 35. We want to do them thing, we're not 100 yet. Yeah, up to 100. We're climbing up to the 100. Well, we want to be like separated that and bigger country like Trinidad and Tobago and although they had Aruba and Curacao, they all are one until is. So we must work on that and see if Mr. Joe could get some kind of reform. Do you hear? Because it's just like separating us. Because where your grandmother come from, Devon? I know mine come from Nevis. So where you want to come from?
Well, let's say me great grandfather come from Nevis.
Well, same thing. They lie about them. They lie about. I know your great auntie good, so they lie about. Your daddy auntie. Yeah, you know your great auntie, that your daddy mother. Yeah, your grandmother. Yeah, you know your grandmother. Because my auntie. I had an uncle, a friend named with your great aunt, your great aunt. Married, not really friendly, they were married. I used to go by your aunt's up in Kayan, Waterworks. Yeah, I don't know if you know the place. They did break down with hurricane at one time in 98. And they did rebuild it over in water.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's a shout there. We need to get our things organized much better. We to pull and secession. We want to go secession. We don't want no secession. I want to go up Nevis in the hot bath to just jump on the boat, go on and relax for the day.
I with you on that one.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you left think it's going to Nevis for the day, like you in New York, come back, you feel fresh now. If there's a boat bring you back, you feel so fresh coming back down. So we need to work on us. Come on, you all the young DJ. Where she be? She's still a drink shit in her eye. She a cool it.
She finished drinking shitty this morning.
Okay, tell her morning for me.
Alright, let's lady, thank you so much here. I feel like I want the station to lock off by. But guys, imagine this morning we had a whole bunch of topics to discuss. We discussed none. We didn't discuss one. But we have one. Let's take one last call before we wrap up. Good morning, caller. You're live on ILNT.
Good morning, Azzy. Welcome back. Don't let the lady there put all kinds in your tea, you know. I want you to drink your tea. We don't know no drugs in it. No, the way they call it, you know, the little sugar, the sugar got some settling.
Dregs, no dregs.
Yeah, dregs, right. I don't want to. Don't let me mix you. Bye.
Well, on that note, I'll take the advice. And I don't want use sugar in my tea. So, if I'm feeling a little adventurous, I might put a little honey. So you ain't got to worry about the dregs. But guys, this is my brother. This way you're watching the chauffeur before I see me. My brother just sent me a message. You could have seen the man making nice comments about the show. Anyway, but guys, time is fast approaching 10, and so we're gonna wrap up quickly. But just because I recognize we hadn't done any of the recommended topics, I'm gonna just throw this one out quickly because I thought it was very interesting. Oh, firstly, let me first big up a friend of the show, Senator the Honorable Iselin Phillip. She's now been sworn in as the Junior Minister for Youth Empowerment and Social Development, Gender Affairs, Aging and Disabilities. I, for one, am very proud and well deserved. I must say. You won't get any arguments from me on that one. So, Iselin, big up yourself. I wonder if when I see you in the street now, I got to call you Honorable, because people are disrespecting you if I just call you Iselin. But yes. Oh, and quickly, news of note, and this is coming from winmediaskn.com, guys. High Court decriminalizes boogery and related offenses between consented adults in private. And this was reported just yesterday. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court delivered a judgment decriminalizing certain consensual sexual conduct between adults 18 years and older in private in St. Kitts and Nevis. The judgment was delivered by His Lordship, Mr. Justice Trevor Ward, QC. It arose from a constitutional motion filed in January 2021 by Jamal Jeffers, a citizen of the Federation, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Alliance, or I think that's supposed to be For Equality Incorporated, a community-based non-profit organization founded by Tainetta McCoy. The Attorney General was the named defendant, as is the requirement in constitutional motions of this nature. Mr. Jeffers and the SKNAFE sought declarations that sections 56 and 57 of the Offences Against the Person Act of the laws of St. Kitts and Nevis contravenes section 3, 7, 12, and 15 of the Constitution, and as such were null, void, and of no force and effect to the extent that they applied to consensual intercourse in private between persons 16 years of age and more. So I'm just going to jump to the end since time is fast spent. In the judgment, the court declared that boogery and related crimes referenced in sections 56 and 57 of the Offences Against Persons Act contravene section 3 and 12 of the Constitution of the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis, namely the right to protection of personal privacy and the right to freedom of expression. Therefore, boogery in St. Kitts and Nevis is no longer a crime once it involves consensual sexual conduct in private between adults. The cabinet of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis was to be made aware of this decision. The trial took place on June 10th, 2022. Well, guys, things have happened. Things have happened. That has been struck down. Now, I wonder if this is the way for us to address some of these other archaic laws, some of them that obviously, I think, hinder some of our constitutional rights. That might be some way for us to kind of push the envelope and move some of these things forward. But that is left to be seen. We will see how some of this shakes out. I'm interested to see some of the response to this judgment as time moves on. But guys, unfortunately, I gotta leave. I gotta go. I gotta disembark. Parting is such sweet sorrow. And guys, I had a great time talking with you today. Appreciate you guys who joined us on whether it's Facebook, YouTube, winmediaskn.com, or Debtors Prison. Oh my gosh, that is what. Yeah. Anyway, we'll save that one. But yeah, guys, if you joined us on any of the digital platforms, I appreciate you. If you listen to me on the radio this morning, 98.9 FM, big up yourself one time. Make sure you turn it up loud. You know, you don't want to keep all the teeth to yourself. You need to make sure you share it. But guys, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to leave. I gotta disembark. Jade promised me that she's gonna be here tomorrow. So when y'all message her, just make sure y'all tell her make sure she reach. Since y'all missing her, and I'll make sure I'll give her all the regards. Those of you who have expressed the message, right? But guys, be safe out there. Take care. I'm wishing everyone a great day. Deal with people with love and grace as you move throughout your day today. And of course, guys, please learn from the mistakes of others. Spend more time living your content than posting it. And please remember, you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. Gonna see you guys tomorrow.
Be Frankie.